And we're live just like that,
Hey,
Eric. Hey,
wow.
welcome everyone to the online broadcast Blueprint. And we have a special guest today, and I'm going to turn it over to him here very shortly. Eric, my friend Eric, who I was doing the math, we've known each other since 1999. Isn't that? And neither of us has aged a bit. That's what's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. Um, but I wanted to have Eric on because Eric is in the process of launching a community oriented radio station. And he and I have had some conversations. And the reason I wanted to bring Eric on, two reasons. I just want us to talk to someone who's going through the process. Many of you that I've talked to via email are thinking about starting a station or in the early stages. That's kind of where Eric is. But Eric's expertise is really as a networker. And as long as I've known Eric, he's just really good at personal networking. And I want to talk about that aspect, among other things, with Eric in terms of running a successful radio station. So Eric, I want to turn it over to you, and let me just have you get us started. Give us a little background about yourself and why you find yourself at this point starting your own radio station, which is Frontier Radio.
Thank you, Jeremy. I really appreciate that. Yes, it's true. We go back quite a ways, and in background in sales and marketing, growing up here in the Northwest, I naturally am a gregarious person, very outgoing. I come from a family, my mom especially, that she's never met a person that isn't a friend.
Right.
So I probably haven't fallen far from that apple tree. So that's, the background on me a little bit. I've been embarking on some different projects over the years. I had a technology company for a while doing technology integrations. So the techie side pieces are pretty easy. I'm a quick learner. I, rapidly learn new things. But this idea came into formation, probably only just about a few weeks ago. Jeremy here introduced me to the concept. He has a successful radio station over in Western Montana. And I was intrigued, and I thought, wow, one of the things that I've noticed where we live here in Lower Stevens County of Washington State, it's the northeastern corner of Washington State, very underserved population when it comes to resources. The communities, many of the communities are economically diminished, and they also don't have accesses to some of the resources where you do in the bigger counties, bigger cities down to the south. So this, having lived here, this is our 26th year in Stevens County. It's called the Tri-County region. So it's served by the Tri-County Health District. It's served by a number of agencies that all refer to it as the Tri-County region. So we have Pend Oreille County, we have Stevens County, and to the west, we have Ferry County. Those three counties have some radio stations out there. There is some reach, but in researching it also, I realized that many of these radio stations, though they foster a sense of community connection, it's oftentimes more entertainment based. There is some news and information out there, but there wasn't a station that could reach the broader swath all in one shot as an internet radio station could. And I thought, wow, this opportunity to reach out into the communities and help bring people and businesses together more, to make a sense of connectiveness. I've seen Jeremy do this successfully, even in his region. And I thought this would be a great opportunity. At this point in my life, I've been doing a number of things. I've been involved in emergency management for many years, involved with the Washington State Guard. It's been a rapid pace, just always moving. I want to invest more in the community that I live. I want to invest more in this region. I have grandchildren now, and I want to enjoy time with family more. So this also personally for me is an opportunity to do something that will have some revenue stream to it as I approach retirement years, but also going back and giving into the community. So that's my heart. That's what inspired me to launch this. And Jeremy's right. Networking is a deep, deep, deep component of my life. I've always found that it's easy to get to know people. We recently talked about a principle of know, like, trust. So you get to know somebody. They begin to like you. They begin to trust you. That's important. You can't be artificial. It can't be forced. You have to build that. It's almost intuitive sometimes. It's not easy all the time. And sometimes the relations that you build are just relationships that bump along that until someday, maybe there's something that one or the other can reach out and parlay into something that might be very positive and impactful somewhere.
That's super important. And you touched on so many things that are really crucial. And I want to talk about a couple things. First of all, Eric, you know this, we've talked about this a little, I think. Radio over the last 20 years, and I'm talking terrestrial AM FM radio, has completely changed. And I don't mean to be critical of the iHearts or the big conglomerates, but right. The reality is there aren't really local stations anymore. Not like there used to be. They might have a live guy in the morning. Typically, you know what happens, Eric, especially in the smaller areas, they're getting a network feed, and then they might have some guy that comes in and does a local news break once an hour. I mean, but and there might be one single employee that's
a Saturday morning show.
Totally. And that's not the way it was in 1985 when I got into radio, when a punk kid could actually get a job working. That's changed. And because that's changed, there's a vacuum. There's a vacuum for local community oriented radio. So I want
absolutely
anyone watching this to kind of understand that's where the opportunity is. And by the way, you see the Community Online Radio Network at the bottom of the screen. That's a Facebook group that I would love for you to join if you're interested in this community oriented strategy with your radio station. So Eric, I'm totally putting Eric on the spot. No prep. We didn't prep for this at all. I just said, Eric, I want to talk to you tomorrow.
Right.
So I want you to put yourself in the mind of someone, because most people, the idea of being a salesperson to most people is terrifying. And I don't want to be a salesperson. I don't want to go out and pitch anything. So I'm going to ask you, what are simple things that someone who's not accustomed to doing this, that's maybe not super outgoing, what are some simple tips you might have for someone to kind of start building those relationships, networking with people? Any thoughts or things that you could share along those lines?
Absolutely, Jeremy. One of the things I find is that have a conversation of curiosity with the people you encounter. You go into a store, you go into a cafe, you encounter somebody at the front counter. Have a conversation and be ready when you ask, "How are you today?" to hear their story. If you listen, if you take the time to listen and with curiosity, it will elicit more questions that will elicit more answers. I should say prompt more questions that will elicit more answers. But for me, it's natural. For some, it might not be so natural. But I would encourage anybody listening today to venture out, go see that person at the front check stand. You've seen them many, many, many times. But today, ask them something about their life that might be of interest, that maybe there's a challenge in their life. Maybe there's something that it's exciting in their life. You never know. You never know somebody's story until you ask. And I always say, ask a question, not just a light, fluffy question, but ask something that has a little more meat to it. If somebody says, "Oh, I'm having an okay day," well, what makes it okay? What would make it better? If your day was at a 5 right now, what would make it a 6 or a 7? And oftentimes a person will answer, "Oh, well, if I only was able to do this, if I had an extra day off each week," or something like that, something specific. "Oh, you work a busy schedule? Really? Well, how many days a week do you work?" It questions and answers build more questions. As you be genuine too. If somebody senses that you're just asking questions to fill time, that won't appear genuine. Be genuine, be sincere, be yourself. Being yourself and sincere, honest, and truthful, that will go miles to building these relationships. Maybe you see that person again. Try to remember something, some detail about what you talked about the last time. I might ask, "Hey, I heard you were on a weight loss journey. How is that going for you? What's worked?" It might be, "You were excited the last time I talked to you. You had a grandbaby on the way. Has he or she arrived yet?"
Right.
So these are things that help build relationship, and that's part of networking. You may never mention something about your business or your radio station, but eventually in those conversations, somebody will likely ask you, "Well, what do you do?" "Oh, well, my day job, I drive school buses and motor coaches. But in the midday, I work on a radio station. I have an online radio station called Frontier Radio. And my goal is just exactly what we talked about, community-oriented radio that reaches the communities of our regions." So that, in a nutshell, Jeremy, are some of the tips I have. The biggest tip is just get out and go places. Go different places you've never been before. When you realize that somebody has a skill set or perhaps an expertise, or they're in a business that might be helpful to you or somebody else, file that away as a possibility. I always say, I have a guy, and
and Eric has lots of guys. Totally. Yeah.
And that's very true. I may have to dig through my phone. Oh, that's another point too. When you get somebody's phone number, their contact information, go down to that little section down there in the notes and add a note to prompt yourself. Because I can't remember maybe the name of the guy that I met 5 years ago offhand, but I remember that he does custom concrete. There's a note in my phone that has under his contact information that says custom concrete. And I can go back and find him. And yes, he can come out and do a custom pad on my patio with the little footsteps of my grandkids, whatever. But that is an important point there is, get the contact information. You may not talk to them for years, but when you do, you say, "Hey, remember me? I talked to you 3 years ago at such and such place. And we had this great conversation. You had some great successes going on in your business. How has that gone? I have a need now. Do you still have that business?"
Yeah. And I think, and that's over the years, one thing that has struck me is you have, well, the old term was a Rolodex, right? You have a huge Rolodex, right? Because
Rolodex.
you meet lots of people, you file that away, you've leveraged that throughout, and that's awesome. One thing that I wanted to point out, which I think is a winning strategy, you just signed on just a few days ago, and kind of by accident. That's kind of a funny story. You started he's on Live 365, And as you know, if you use Live 365, many of the platforms do this. You get like a free 7-day trial.
Right.
And Eric started it before he was actually ready, which is kind of funny. And I think lots of people do that. But
playing Christmas music.
yeah, totally. As you upload in bulk, right, it's just playing randomly. So if you got Christmas music in there, it'll play Christmas music. So we've all done that, Eric. We've all been there. But here's the thing that I was impressed. At least a month before you went live, you had a very active Facebook presence.
Yes.
And so talk to me a little bit about that. What's your strategy with how you're going to tie your Facebook presence to the radio station? I'd be interested to hear about that.
Right. Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that. So the Facebook presence I built before actually launching the radio station.
Mm-hmm.
I came up with an idea for a logo. Yes, I did leverage AI. AI is so helpful.
We all do. Yes.
I can expedite the process.
Right.
So that worked very well. But I did embark on some light branding to begin with, to make sure that I had the parts and pieces in place. I put together an email address, made sure that worked, put together getting a phone number that it could be utilized and leveraged for calls and texts. But I went out and pivoted off our personal Facebook page and created a new business page under this Frontier Radio. And with that, I fostered a sense of excitement. I went over to my personal page. I invited 1,025 friends to investigate, explore this page, come follow us and like us. But it's building that sense of growing excitement and anticipation, building that anticipation, but staying positive throughout.
Yeah.
You'll see that even if you connect with us personally in our Facebook page, that we want our social media presence to be positive, a safe place, apolitical, not polarized.
Yep.
We don't want headbutting. And yes, sometimes we agree to respectfully disagree, right. But it's not a location for vitriol and contentious conversations. It's a place to encourage one another, to applaud successes, to mourn losses. But overall, it's a place of encouragement and uplifting, sometimes humor too.
Well, and think about this, Eric. I don't mean to sound manipulative in any way, but think about the process here. If I'm a business owner and all of a sudden I see this guy, Eric, and Frontier Radio, who's republishing or sharing a post I made, he's automatically going to like you. Right.
Right.
And that to me, the community focus part is it's fun. Right. And Eric has already, even before he's on the air, he's linked up with several businesses and organizations in his geographic area that are following him, and he forwards things they post. He's talking about things, he chimes in, and that's so easy to do and so powerful. And I think that's, and you do really well at that. And I think that's going to be key to your success for sure.
Thank you. I'll share a success just in the last 24 hours. I joined a group here locally that was 10 to 12,000 members strong. I was very truthful about who I was and what I represented in that group. I agreed to all the terms and conditions and agreed not to be self-promoting. I was allowed in. It's unusual for somebody who's a business. I looked through. There aren't any other businesses in this group of 10,000 per se that I could find. That says a lot about the fact that being truthful, being likable and trustworthy allowed me in. But by the same token, I also want to be very respectful of that group, and I'm not out there overtly promoting my station.
Right.
I will comment appropriately on news and events and information there. I might ask at some point if it would be okay to run a PSA, a public service announcement, for a particular event.
Yeah.
But I'll ask very respectfully and upfront. So that's one example.
And let me just say, by the way, I have never had anyone turn me down about running a PSA. They'll be excited for you to run a PSA for them.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. One of the things too that I've had fun with the interactions with local businesses is a local hardware store up north of us here was posting some fun things of late. Activities for families and kids around Easter, and also just a sale they were having. I commented with humor on a couple of their posts, interaction there, and they came back and had humorous responses, and we had a great back and forth. That's an example of building a relationship where even a business is beginning to know who we are, trust us. Now, that said, others who follow them, probably thousands of others in the region, will see that conversation. And they may come over and explore our page and see what we're doing with our station. I'm excited about that possibility. I never know when I have a conversation, again, keeping it positive, lighthearted, upbeat. I want to make sure that when people see that, they go, oh, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I was talking to Eric right before we started here, and you guys that follow me here, you know my feelings on music. That music, this sounds blunt. The music you play doesn't really matter to me. I mean, and this is funny coming from me because Eric knows I'm a big music fan. Don't get me wrong, I love music. I'm very opinionated. I have but in terms of what we're talking about here, I think many people, when they sign on a station, they sign on because they want to play their favorite music, which is great. The first station I started, the Classic Guitar Rock, was about the music. But what we find is that, you know what? People can hear music they want anywhere. They don't have to listen to my station to hear the best classic rock ever. And I love classic rock. I'm just using that as an example. So I think 85% of the internet radio stations you hear are all about music. And good luck to those folks if that works for them. But what's super exciting about a community focus is that Eric's finding it in his neck of the woods. I'm finding it in my neck of the woods. There's an underserved population that if you can add value, not only is there an opportunity to be beneficial, it's a win-win, right? You're helping the community, but there's also an opportunity to make a little money at it. So let's be honest, that's nice too.
Yeah, so, it's frosting on the proverbial cake.
Right. It's one of those things where I do it for free. Absolutely. And in fact, when I started, I wasn't even thinking about making any money. But what I found is through this hyper localization, I had people reaching out to me who wanted to sponsor. And Eric will find the same thing, I think, is when they see the value of a community voice, and it's not just, and Eric's better at this than me, to actually be out glad handing people. Seriously. I mean, I think that's a big part of it. People know you and like you and trust you, that those words you used earlier. The community focus is just, it's a natural fit and a way to differentiate, because Frontier Radio is going to give these rural listeners something they can't get anywhere else.
I live in a region here where we have pockets of abject poverty all the way up to gated enclave communities.
Yeah.
But everybody comes together in these smaller burgs and cities to have farm to table festivals, street fairs, parades, all sorts of activities and events. Our library system in this region is tremendous for having partnerships with places like WSU Extension Service to learn how to do permaculture, to do art collaboration projects. We have one up here that's extending through the month of March with several art guilds, and the opportunity to come in as an individual and contribute to that collaborative project. I think it's really cool. I'll visit these places. I'll attend the workshops. Just in the last 48 hours, I was invited to come up and present to the Chewelah Chamber of Commerce, a town just north of us here.
Perfect.
What an opportunity to get out there and talk about what we're doing and trying to accomplish.
Yeah. And Eric gets tired of me saying this. I say it all the time. Anyone watching the show, the magic happens between your songs. Okay. Your music is not the magic. Sorry. We all want to believe that. We all want to believe people are listening to our station for the music, but they can hear that music on Spotify or iTunes anywhere, right?
Absolutely.
The magic is the personality of our station, and particularly with this hyper localization approach, the personality of Frontier Radio is literally going to be Eric, right? So, and with my Radio Valley, it's the same thing, but it's awesome because that's where you get to know people. You're talking about the community. You're adding a value to the community. And when you do that,
amen,
it's not hard to get sponsors, right? And
no, Jeremy has much smaller turf to have to travel. He has one main highway that goes through
pretty much. Yeah.
I have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of square miles to cover.
Yeah. But that's what's great
too.
Yeah. That's what's great. And one thing I did, Eric, it was a lot of fun. I started November, like Thanksgiving weekend of 2024.
Oh, okay.
And so Christmas break, a month after I started, I spent a day driving up Highway 200, stopping at every business, handing out. I had a card. Maybe I have one laying around. Anyways, I had my Radio Valley card, has a QR code that people can scan and listen to it, email, basic stuff. But it was really good. And my listenership, that was a big help. Just actually meeting people, handing them a card, not pitching them. I wasn't asking them to advertise. I was saying, hey, check out our station. I always plug the PSAs. Hey, if club, group, organization, if you've got something going on, let me know. I can help spread the word. Who's not going to like that? I mean, anyone's going to appreciate that. So
there's power in collaboration too.
Totally.
I attribute a lot of what I'm doing here already with my already natural skills, but Jeremy has helped me navigate the nuts and bolts and the operational behind the scenes stuff to make this happen. And I encourage any of you out there to also find somebody like-minded, somebody maybe in your near region. You don't have to be competitors. You can be collaborators.
Right.
I think there's a lot of power in that. There's a sense of energy that comes from collaborating with somebody else because you two can encourage each other.
And even more nuts and bolts, one thing about, if you listen to my station, I'm the voice on all the commercials, right? Yeah. So why not trade with someone else? Hey, Eric, record some commercials for me. I'll record some commercials for you, right? Mix it up. There are things you can do. That's kind of what the Community Online Radio Network, CORN, is all about. So our focus is really about community. I mean, anyone can join the group, but really what we focus on is this community strategy. and I love what you said about collaborating. There's all kinds
Thank
of
you.
opportunities to collaborate. Yeah.
I firmly believe in it.
So what's next? Your station is just started. It's brand new. You're still working the bugs out, as we always are.
Right.
But what's your, in your mind, when you think of, here's my business plan for the next 3 months for Frontier Radio? What are you thinking?
For me personally, it's take that time that I have available and get out and meet people and talk to people. We're coming into the spring now. We have just a plethora of outdoor activities and events that are coming up. When I go visit these locations, these farm fairs and these outdoor activities and such, I'll be mentioning who I am and my station. And it'll be an opportunity to have conversations to find out if people are listening, if my audience is growing. But the next few months, it's about building my audience. And it's partly with the station itself, the quality and content that I put there, but also leveraging my social media and growing that social media presence as well. Right now, I'm focusing on one platform only. Run Facebook only. Mm-hmm. I figured do that well, establish that firmly. Maybe I'll pivot into something else. We're in a very photogenic time of the year when spring flowers and green trees and sunshine and all this stuff. I'll drag along my daughter-in-law, who's a photographer. We'll get great pictures and content, but take your little audio recorder with you. I have a little digital recorder that records good quality WAV files, and take that with you. You never know when there's an opportunity to have an impromptu interview with somebody.
Awesome.
That those interviews of interest help build that sense of community.
And you said something that's really key, and I want to just drill down here just for a minute. I joke, I always call it my media empire, right? So I've got Radio Valley there's the station that people listen to. Right. Frontier Radio, there's the station that people listen to. But parallel, maybe almost as important, is the Facebook part, I think. Because they work together, they work in tandem. It's in the it's the Facebook where, as you said, you can post pictures, you can repost things that people in the area do have posted. So you got to go together. You can't just put a jukebox up and expect to get traction.
Part of my Frontier Media Group radio station and social media.
Totally.
Frontier Group Media.
Frontier Media Group. I like that. That's pretty.
Frontier Media Group.
That's good. That's good. Well, Eric, this has been super helpful. And I think I could be wrong, but when I talk to people, the part that scares most people just about business in general is the sales part. It's the marketing part. And Eric's looking at me funny because that's the part Eric likes doing, right? So I think that's such an important part to have a success. Whatever type of radio station you have, you got to be we're all in sales, right? We're all in sales. That doesn't mean you got to be the used car salesman, but the things that Eric talked about, building relationships, not feeling like you have to pitch, hey, sign a contract just to run commercial. That's not what it's about. It's about being out there, being visible, bringing value to people, which is what you do, Eric. That's really, if I could put it in a sentence, you bring value to people, whether it's just promoting something that is important to them. They go on your Facebook and they see that you're sending something that they posted. They love that stuff.
Absolutely.
Right? It's great.
But don't just repost it. Comment with something positive, something about that event, that activity, that award, that achievement.
Yeah.
Congratulate them. Take the time. That goes miles and miles in building relationships.
That's perfect. So I want to wrap up with two things. Number one, I will post in the description a link to Frontier Radio. Also, a reminder about the Community Online Radio Network, CORN. Find us on Facebook.
Yes, do
And
join.
follow us there. Eric, thank you so much. This has been very helpful for me, and I'm excited to see how Frontier Radio grows. It's just started. It's just days old. And as we all know, any of us that have started a station, the first few days are exciting, right? And you're kind of feeling your way through it, and that's cool. And Eric, you're doing a great job. And I look forward to seeing everything that happens at Frontier Radio.
Thank you for having me here today.
Any speak now or forever hold your peace, Eric. Any final words? Any final words?
Get out, open that front door, go out and meet people.
I love that. I love it. All right. Thanks so much, Eric. Guys, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.